It's an interesting way of having a story of illegal street racing with burglary, but Knight Rider did often find ways of having two different elements work together seamlessly. The idea of a crooked cop taking a little something for themselves is not uncommon nor new in fiction, as the angle does make for good stories where someone who is supposed to be the upholder of the law is perverting it for their own means and gain and will be made accountable for their actions. That, and it's just another useful method for Michael and KITT to put another douche heel away. There is a pattern that emerges when Crumbling Down plays as the street racing takes place and burglaries in the high street of Vista Beach. It's kind of a throwaway element at first until you see it happen again and Michael begins connecting the dots, of which KITT doesn't understand the correlation at first, but then sees the logic when it's explained to him and when he overlays the dates of said burglaries and the air times of the song. It's amusing to see KITT trying to understand the use and what importance of drag racing can have and why people are in such a hurry. That, and the subplot of the car burglar alarm salesman is amusing for the Trans Am to deal with, as the supercar makes it an uphill task to try and break into him. The writing was on point. Should also be noted that this was the first appearance of KITT's silent mode. As for acting, the acting was pretty decent from most of those involved. Hugh Gillen as Police Chief Rupert Craig probably had the most impressive performance as a seemingly decent gruff chief of the police, and his heel turn literally takes you by surprise. Safe to say he was disgruntled by the end of the episode. Kudos if you get the reference. Should be noted that he played the mayor of 1885 Hill Valley in 1990's Back to the Future Part 3. I found Mary Beth Evans as Cindy to be warm, bubbly, and a joy to watch on screen as the girlfriend of Ron Prescott. She just had a smile that could light up a room. Frank Garrett as Mace Beaudry I found to be very flat and just nothing of substance. I appreciate that actors have to make the best of the material to work with, but this guy was just a one-note lackey to the main heel. I wonder if he was one of the first students of the Bill Murray phoning it in acting classes. Bill, I love ya, but you just gotta stop doing that. That said, I didn't find Sal Landy as Ty to be that much better either. Somewhat better than Frank Garrett, but it was just his delivery of, "Let's get that sucker," I found to be very weak and no real emotion behind it. Usually when you have that kind of intent of wanting to reprimand someone, you tend to put more emoting into it, but no. Woody Brown plays the rebellious racer well, who's been framed for burglary and really puts the foundation in a tight spot of which Devon calls Michael out on by keeping him safe. Milt Oberman provides some light comedy relief as Manny Carmichael, who claims he could break into KITT within 30 seconds and is unsuccessful at every turn. But then again, he was trying to break into KITT. What chance did he have? Edward plays one of his better performances as Devon, especially with the confrontation of which I just mentioned, where he understands Michael's motives, yet underlining that they have to work within the confines of the law. As ever, David and William knock it out of the park. As for the score, Don Peake does as Don Peake does. He put down a very fitting score for this week's episode in fitting with the street racing and burglary aspects. Overall, aside from a few poor casting choices, this week pretty much hit all cylinders. A well-written plot, pretty much keeping the real heel concealed until the reveal in the radio station where Chief Craig is taped confessing his whole involvement in the burglaries. The first use of KITT's silent mode would become a valuable asset for the rest of the show's run, because in order to get the surprise on your adversary, it's best to have the element of surprise, and you can't do it any better than coming in silently. That, and it hits home the message of how far you must go to prove someone's innocence when no one else believes them. As Michael Knight rightly said, if you're innocent, you don't run. And that's so true. Because if you run, that immediately paints a poor picture of you. But if you stand your ground and stay, what have you got to hide? Innocent people don't have anything to hide, so it makes sense. A great episode to a great season. This is why Season 2 is the best of what Knight Rider had to offer. Until next time, good night from the night.